At a traditional wedding in Italy, my husband told me it was customary to kiss the bride for good luck. Laughing, I brushed it off, until I caught him sneaking off with her at midnight. When I confronted him, the groom chuckled and said, "It's just an Italian tradition." Right? My husband smirked. "If you loved me, you'd understand." I, 35 female, went to a traditional wedding in Italy with my husband, 37 male, thinking it would be a beautiful vacation. Instead, it's the last trip we'll ever take together. This story still makes me sick to my stomach. I've rewritten it 5 times because every time I try to tell it, I feel like I'm losing my mind all over again. But I need to get it out. If it helps even one person recognize the signs, then fine. It's worth it. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. We've had our share of rough patches, nothing major, just life stuff. I thought we were in a decent place. We were saving for a house, planning to try for a baby soon. Normal adult things. Trust was never a problem. Until this trip. The wedding was for his childhood friend Luca. They grew up together in Italy before Marco's family moved to the US when he was 14. They'd stayed in touch, and Luca was getting married in his hometown, a little village outside Florence. We got the invitation almost a year ago. Marco was excited, told me how beautiful the place was, how much it meant to him. I said yes right away. I love weddings, and I'd never been to Italy. The ceremony was held in a stone church on top of a hill. Very old, very Catholic. The bride, Bianca, wore a lace gown with a huge veil and walked down the aisle to a string quartet. People were crying before she even reached the altar. I didn't know her personally, but Marco had mentioned her a few times. She's gorgeous, a little wild when she drinks, that sort of thing. He never said they were close. I thought she was just part of the group from when they were teens. After the ceremony, we moved to the reception, a huge open courtyard outside a villa. Long tables, candles everywhere, endless wine, all of it. Picture perfect. At one point during dinner, Marco leaned over and said, "You know it's an old tradition to kiss the bride for good luck." I laughed and rolled my eyes. I thought he was being silly. "Sure it is," I said. He smirked and said nothing else. He didn't even try to do it. So I didn't think about it again. Later, people were dancing, toasting, singing. It felt like something out of a movie. I started to feel tipsy, but in a good way. The music was loud, and everyone was having a great time. That's when I realized Marco was gone. At first, I thought he was just in the bathroom. Then I figured maybe he went to get a drink or stepped away for a smoke. But 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Then more. I started asking around. Most people were drunk or didn't speak much English. Finally, one of the bridesmaids said something like, "I think I saw him go toward the vines, with Bianca?" That hit me hard. I tried to stay calm. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. Maybe she needed help with her dress. Maybe they were talking. Maybe it was nothing. But I had to see for myself. I followed the path past the tables, down to the edge of the vineyard. It was late. There were no lights out there, just stars and a huge full moon. I walked a little further, my heels sinking into the dirt. Then I saw them. Marco and Bianca. Standing between the vines. His hand was on her waist. Her face was tilted up. They were kissing. Not a peck. Not a friendly gesture. This was deep. Slow. Intimate. The kind of kiss people don't share unless there's history behind it. I stood there in shock. I didn't make a sound. I don't think I could have moved even if I wanted to. Then I heard Bianca whisper, "You know this doesn't have to end tonight." Marco said, "You're the one who got married." She laughed. "Yeah, but you didn't stop me." He didn't say anything. I walked away before I threw up. I didn't even know where I was going, just that I couldn't breathe and couldn't stay. Back at the villa, I sat at a table pretending everything was fine. Pretending I didn't just watch my husband make out with a bride on her wedding night. I waited. Eventually, Marco showed up, acting like nothing had happened. Kissed my cheek. "There you are," he said. "You okay?" I said, "We need to talk." He blinked. "Now." "Yeah, now." He followed me toward the garden area, away from the guests. I didn't yell. I just said, "I saw you. In the vineyard. With Bianca." He actually smiled for a second. Like he thought I was kidding. Then he realized I wasn't. "Oh," he said. "That's it. Just oh. You kissed her. You touched her. You said," I stopped. I couldn't even repeat it. He rubbed his face like I was the problem. "Okay, look, it's not what you think. That line. That stupid, insulting line. You seriously want to use that right now?" I said. He shook his head. "You don't understand. It's complicated." Then Luca showed up, yes, the groom himself. Apparently, he'd seen us from across the garden and came over. "What's going on?" he asked. He looked at Marco, then at me. Marco shrugged and said, "It's just an old Italian tradition." "Right?" Luca paused. Then he laughed. Not like it was funny. More like it was pathetic. And then Marco looked at me with the most disgusting expression I've ever seen, like I was being childish, and said, "If you loved me, you'd understand." Understand what? That he needed closure? That he was still in love with someone else? That he couldn't resist cheating on me in the middle of a wedding? I was shaking. I couldn't speak. I just turned and walked away. He didn't follow me. The rest of that night is a blur. People were still dancing. Bianca went back to the party like nothing happened. I remember watching her twirl in her dress, smiling, like she hadn't just ruined 2 lives. I stayed up all night. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just sat on the edge of the bathtub in our room, fully dressed, staring at nothing. The next morning, I booked a train out of Florence. I told no one. I didn't even leave a note. An hour before my flight, Marco texted me, "Can we talk? Please don't make this worse than it is." That was the last thing I heard from him for 3 weeks. There's more to this. A lot more. Messages. Phone calls. One of Bianca's sisters contacted me. Something about a long history between them. Apparently, I was the only one who didn't know. But I'll stop here for now. I haven't decided how it ends yet. But I know what I saw. And I know what he said. If you loved me, you'd understand. I did love him. That's the part that hurts the most. So, after I flew out of Florence, I stayed in Rome for 2 nights. Alone. I didn't see anything. Didn't eat real food. Just wandered the streets, numb. Checked into a hotel with stained curtains and air conditioning that rattled like it was choking. Slept maybe 2 hours total. I didn't cry. Not yet. Back in the US, I went straight to my sister's place. I told her what happened. She offered to fly back with a baseball bat. I almost said yes. 3 days passed. I ignored every call from Marco. Deleted his texts without reading them. Until I got one that said, "I know you're mad, but at least hear me out. There's more to this than you think." I finally opened the message. It was long. Rambling. Full of, "It wasn't planned. She kissed me. We just got caught in the moment. And you weren't supposed to see that." That last one stuck with me. You weren't supposed to see that. Not, "I shouldn't have done it." Not, "I'm sorry I hurt you." Just, I got caught. Then the twist came. The next day, I got a message on Instagram. From Bianca's sister. We'll call her Alessia. She said, "Hey, you don't know me, but I'm Bianca's sister. I saw what happened. I want you to know, you're not crazy." That stopped me cold. She went on. "They've been hooking up for years. Off and on. Even when Bianca was with Luca. Even while Marco was married to you. Years. Years." I had a full body reaction. I dropped my phone. My hands started shaking. I thought I was going to throw up. Alessia said she'd begged Bianca to stop. Said the wedding was already rocky before it even started. Luca had money. Bianca's family had debts. She didn't marry for love, she said. She married for stability. And Marco? He was her escape plan. They made some stupid promise to always find each other, like they were in a bad romance novel. I couldn't even process it. I sat in my sister's laundry room, just reading and rereading her messages. That's when Alessia dropped another bomb. Apparently, Bianca wanted to call off the wedding 2 days before the ceremony. But her family wouldn't let her. They'd already taken money from Luca's parents. Vendors were paid. It was too late. And guess who comforted her during her breakdown? Marco. My husband. The man I shared a bed with. The man who held my hand through the flight to Florence and said, "We're going to have a beautiful time." I called him. First time since I left. He picked up immediately. Finally. I didn't say hi. I said, "How long?" He paused. "What do you mean? How long have you been sleeping with her?" He sighed. "It's not what you think, just give me a number, Marco." "On and off. Maybe since before we got married," he said. Quiet. Like it was normal. I nearly dropped the phone. "Before? You brought me to her wedding. You let me sit there smiling at her while you two, I thought it was over," he said. "Until we got there. Then it all came back." He said it like they were victims of fate. Like gravity just pulled them back together. I asked him if he was still in contact with her. He said, "We've texted, but it's just closure." Closure. Men love that word. I hung up. I didn't answer after that. But the messages kept coming. Then another twist. Luca found out. I don't know if someone told him or if he figured it out, but 2 weeks later, I got a call from a blocked number. I never answer those, but I was in a mood, so I picked up. It was Luca. His voice was cold. Controlled. "I just want to know, when did you find out?" I told him the truth. I told him everything. What I saw. What Marco said. What Bianca said. Alessia's messages. He was quiet. Then he laughed once, hard and bitter. Figures. Then he told me this. She slept with him the night before our wedding. I swear, the air left my lungs. He said he found her phone 2 nights ago. Read everything. Pictures. Messages. Plans to run away together. She even called Marco her forever. And get this, Marco told her he was leaving me. That's why she went through with the wedding. She thought she was marrying Luca just for now. That Marco was going to come back for her. Luca said, "You should get tested." I did. Then he hung up. I sat on the kitchen floor for 2 hours. My husband didn't just cheat. He didn't just lie. He played house with me while plotting a backup life with someone else. Like I was the boring wife at home. And she was the excitement. 1 week later, Marco showed up at my sister's house. He stood on the porch holding flowers like this was some kind of sitcom. I didn't open the door. My sister did. He asked if he could just talk. She said, "Get lost or I call the cops." He left. Then he emailed me a 4-page letter. I'm not going to post all of it, but here are the highlights. I was lost. You've been distant this year. Gaslighting. I didn't plan to hurt you. I still love you, but I had a connection with her I couldn't explain. We were kids when it started. We didn't know how to let go. If you loved me, you'd understand. There it was again. If you loved me, you'd understand. He still believed that. That love meant I should let it go. That I should ignore what I saw. What I heard. What I knew. Bianca went back to her husband. For now. Last I heard, they're working things out. Marco is still texting me from different numbers. I've lawyered up. There's more, and I'll post again if people want the next part. I haven't even told you what I found in his work email. Or what he left behind in his suitcase when I opened it a week later. Let's just say, it gets worse. A lot worse. I didn't think things could get any worse after hearing from Luca. But I was wrong. So, remember how Marco showed up at my sister's house? After that, I blocked every number he tried to use. My lawyer told me to avoid contact until we could file formally. That should have been the end of it. Then I opened his suitcase. I had forgotten it was still in the back of my car where I dumped it when I left the airport. It had sat there for weeks while I tried to pretend the world wasn't falling apart. I finally brought it inside one morning, thinking maybe I'd donate the clothes or throw it all in a trash bag. The smell hit me first, cologne and wine. A sick combination now. I started going through it, not expecting anything. There were the usual things, a crumpled tie, cologne, 2 shirts that still had wedding cake frosting on the sleeves. I found a folded paper wedged in a side pocket. It wasn't a receipt. It wasn't a boarding pass. It was a printed itinerary for a secret Airbnb. In Florence. For 2 guests. Booked 2 days before the wedding. Check-in, the morning after the ceremony. Check-out, 5 days later. It was in both their names, Marco and Bianca. That's when I lost it. He didn't fall into something. He didn't get caught in the moment. He planned an entire post-wedding honeymoon with her. I started shaking again. The room spun. I thought I was going to pass out. I called Alessia right away. I told her about the Airbnb. She went quiet for a moment, then whispered, "Wait, that's not the one she told me about." I paused. "What do you mean?" She said she was planning to go away with Marco after the wedding, but she told me it was in Venice. She said Bianca had shown her a completely different reservation. Different location. Different dates. We compared screenshots. 2 separate bookings. Turns out, Marco booked 2 getaways. One with Bianca. One with someone else. I didn't understand at first. I thought maybe it was a mistake. But the second reservation, the Venice one, wasn't in Bianca's name. It was in a woman's name I didn't recognize, Chiara M. The dates overlapped with the Florence Airbnb. He literally double-booked affair getaways. One in Florence. One in Venice. 2 women. Both booked under romantic couple rates, both set up within days of each other. And guess what? I found her on Instagram. Chiara M. Public profile. Pretty. Smiling. Works in real estate. Based in Naples. One of her latest posts? A picture of a gondola in Venice. Tagged, #romantic getaway. Posted 3 days after the wedding. I messaged her. I told her who I was. Sent her a picture of Marco. Asked if she was with him. She didn't respond right away. But 2 days later, she sent me this. "I didn't know about you." I didn't know about Bianca. He told me he was divorced. That he came to Italy to find peace. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Marco had told her we were over. Had told Bianca he was leaving me. And told me nothing at all. He had built an entire triangle of lies. And I was the idiot holding the corners together. I messaged Luca again. Told him everything. I figured he deserved to know. His reply? "She's pregnant." I read it 3 times. I thought it was a mistake. Bianca is pregnant. She told me this morning. I'm getting a paternity test. I felt a cold wave wash over me. Because if it was Marco's, if he knew, if that was part of why he planned to run away with her, the whole thing started spinning again. I called Alessia. Told her what Luca said. She screamed. Like, actually screamed. She said Bianca had been acting weird, emotional, nauseous, but blamed it on nerves. She had no idea about the pregnancy. I asked if she thought it could be Marco's. She said, with Bianca? Yes, 100%. I haven't told Marco yet. He hasn't mentioned it. Either he doesn't know or he's hiding it. I don't even care which one it is anymore. I want out. Legally. Emotionally. Spiritually. But the thought that somewhere in Italy, a child might be born from all this wreckage, it makes me sick. Not because of the child. The child is innocent. But because my husband was ready to burn everything down, lie to 3 women, and leave a mess behind while he played out some fantasy life in secret villas. It's not just cheating anymore. It's betrayal layered over manipulation, built on lies, and now dragging more lives into it. Including a baby. And I haven't even told you what his mother said when she found out. About a week after I found out Bianca was pregnant, Marco's mom called me. She's never been a warm woman. Old school Italian, polite but cold. The type who used to say things like, "You're not really Italian, you're American." Subtle jabs. Passive-aggressive. But she always pretended to like me. This time? No pretending. She said, "I think it's time we talk." I said, "You should talk to your son." She paused. Then she said, "I've already spoken to him. He told me everything." I asked, "Everything?" She said, "About Bianca. The wedding. The baby. Chiara." So he knew about the pregnancy. And told his mother. Before he told me. I asked, "Why are you calling me?" She said, "Because I don't want him to lose everything over one mistake." One mistake. That phrase sent me into another level of rage. I told her, calmly but clearly, he didn't make one mistake. He built an entire structure of lies. He cheated on me with the bride, booked 2 secret getaways, slept with another woman from Naples, and may have gotten someone pregnant. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. She didn't respond. Then she said something that shook me. Bianca isn't the first. I froze. He's always struggled with boundaries. He knows he's wrong. But he loves you. He's just weak. Weak? I hung up. I didn't even tell my sister. I couldn't speak. But something snapped at me. I was done hiding. Done being quiet. Done letting Marco control the narrative. So I agreed to meet him. I told him to come to a small cafe near my sister's place. Public. Neutral. He walked in late. Looked like crap. Unshaven. Hollow-eyed. Like he hadn't slept. He sat down. Smiled, like we were old friends catching up. I said nothing. Then I pulled out the 2 Airbnb bookings, printed and stapled together. I said, "Explain these." He glanced at them. His eyes flicked to the names. He didn't even flinch. He said, "It's not what it looks like." I actually laughed. Not like haha funny. More like a wow you really think I'm stupid kind of laugh. Then I pulled out my phone. Showed him Chiara's gondola post. Showed him the messages. Then pulled up the last one from Luca. "Bianca's baby isn't mine." Paternity test came back. Marco stared at the screen. Then he whispered, "Is it mine?" I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "I don't know." "Do you know?" And this is when he cracked. His face dropped. Hands started shaking. He whispered, "She told me she'd terminated it. She said it was better that way." I stared at him. "So you believed that without even checking?" "She begged me not to say anything to you. She said she couldn't have a baby with someone married. I told her I was leaving you and she said it was too late, then she ghosted me for a month." Then he looked at me, eyes red, and said, "I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to lose you. I didn't want to lose her either." There it was. The truth. He wanted both. The safety and love of our marriage. The passion and fantasy with Bianca. And maybe a side dish of Chiara too. I didn't cry. I felt like I was watching a stranger's life from the outside. I stood up. He reached for my wrist. He said, "Please. I can fix this. I swear to God. I'll do anything." The cafe was quiet. A few people turned their heads. I said, loud and clear, "You broke it. And you broke me. And you don't get to fix either." Then I walked out. He didn't follow. He called. He emailed. He begged for therapy. Said he'd cut contact with Bianca and Chiara. Said he'd do whatever I asked. But by then, it was too late. His mother sent me one last message. Don't destroy a man's life because he was confused. I didn't respond. Bianca ended up moving out of Luca's house. Not sure where she is now. No one seems to know who she's with or who she wants. Chiara posted a story about starting over. Didn't mention names. Just a blurry selfie and the words, "Peace over chaos." I hope she means it. The divorce was filed 2 weeks later. Fast-tracked. No kids. No shared property. Just papers and pain. I burned the wedding photos. I threw out the dress I wore in Italy. I blocked Marco's number permanently. And then, for the first time in months, I slept. I think what hurts most isn't the betrayal itself. It's the gaslighting that followed. The way he tried to make me feel like I was overreacting. Like I was crazy for being devastated. He wanted me to be quiet. To forgive him because love is supposed to be understanding. But love isn't silence. Love isn't self-sacrifice. Love isn't cleaning up someone else's mess while they make more behind your back. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust again. I don't know if healing is a straight line or a spiral. But I know this. If someone says, if you loved me, you'd understand, walk away. Because real love doesn't need to manipulate you to survive.